And we are
Me la pelan
live.
todos.
Damn. They heard you on the live. Alright, I'm gonna make that. Welcome.
Restart it. Restart.
Restart? Nah, it's too late. I already started. Welcome to the ACL recap. We have Texas and Chris.
Yo, yo.
What's up?
We're just gonna go over some ACL news, updates on the cup, just overall what's going on with ACL. We're gonna just give it a minute to let people join. I know we shared the links in a couple other groups, so. And I think we're waiting on one more person, but we'll see if they show up. But how do you guys like in ACL Cup so far, Texas and Chris?
It's been good. I think it's been really competitive groups, man. 6 groups of 6, and there's really no runaway favorite in any of the groups, to be honest. I mean, everything's still in play. So, we got 4 more games left, and hopefully it turns out all right.
Yeah, I agree with Chris.
Lock it on some playoff spots.
Yeah, we got a group of newer teams that are doing really well. I'm shocked, honestly, but I mean that's what the cup is for. Some teams might do better in this kind of competitions than a longer league.
Yeah, that's true. I remember the last time the ACL Cup happened, there was a team called Technique, basically Fian and a whole bunch of people, just kind of joined on a whim. Ended up making it to like the final 8, and then got a D2 spot. And then next season they came up, went to D1, and lasted around for a few seasons. So that was, this is kind of where you can get your name on the map. So, it's important you get out there and you do good, especially if you're not known. This is a great jumping off point, especially before the next FIFA starts.
Yeah, you could definitely get your name out as a newer team and attract some of those high elite players. Let me check on some stuff real quick. Looks like we're live. We're doing good. Everything's good. If you guys are ready, we can go over some of the groups and talk about some teams that are currently leading in their respective groups. I'm gonna make this bigger, huh? Can I make this bigger? I can. Well, no. That looks better, actually. So currently we have in Group 1, we got Lethal, first place, 16 points. No Subo Gordas FC, a new team with 13. Exile with 10. FGF at Esports with 9. Chorizo Tacos with 5. And Cultura Norte currently sitting last with 1 point. Any of those teams surprised you guys?
Yeah, you got to give credit to Exile. They've done a lot of recruiting. Cash just came back, and Bala at Cam. You never think that would actually work, but here we are. They're in 3rd place, and they're technically in one of the playoff spots. So they're doing well. They got a big game against Chorizo Tacos and Lethal on Tuesday. That should be a big deciding point on whether they'll actually proceed or not. Lethal's kind of just continuing on, keeping their momentum from D1 after beating Prolific the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I think Lethal being first is not a surprise. They have a very good team that's been playing together for a while, whether it's ACL West or East. So they've been growing together good. And then No Subos Gordos is a newer team that's kind of surprising teams.
Yeah, I gotta say though, they've got some established people on their roster. They've got Lynx there, they've got Perry, they've got Gazu, they've got Perez, Guzman. They got a lot of people there that are pretty solid. So it's even though it's a new team, there's still a lot of experience on that roster for sure.
Definitely. And then like you said, Exile, they're back. Took a couple leagues off, but now they're back and they haven't missed a step now. And FGF That's not a newer team, but it's a West team that's been doing really well. They've, I believe, finished in playoffs like 2 leagues ago, and then I think missed out this last year.
Yeah, I think a couple seasons back they were one of the top seeds.
Yeah, I think they were first, which was I think a shock for a lot of teams because they just came out of nowhere. They have a style of play that they practice a lot, and most teams are not used to that.
Yeah, agreed. And even with chorizo tacos, like I think that team is pretty much all new, and they're mixing it up with people with D1 experience and D1 playoff teams. So even though they're on 5 points, you just gotta watch out for them. They're doing good.
Yep. Texas, you want to add anything?
I'm trying to get everything situated on my side, bro.
Pause your stream, bro.
I got it up now. It was a little delay on it.
Yeah, that's my bad. But yeah, I think those top three might be set for the playoffs. So by Thursday we'll know. So we'll see how this group ends. We can move on to Group 2.
Jackson's unfaded. He ain't lying.
Yeah, I mean, Whirly One Gaming is always ACL's #1 hater. It says someone said it sounds like you're fighting a war. All right.
Shout out to that.
All right, so we move on to Group 2, which has a surprising leader in my eyes. I don't know if anybody knew this team was going to be first, but I mean, it's an interesting leader. We have Super Saiyans FC as #1. I believe last season was their first season with us, and they're in a D3 team. I believe they'll be going up to D2. El Maracia with 12. 37th Chamber with 9. Invictus Esports 8. AFC Galaxy with 7. And then Nemesis Esports with 3. Any of these teams surprising you guys?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely mentioned Super Saiyans. I think they're a team to look out for. They did really well in D3 last season. I'm excited to see how they kind of carry forward both here and in D2 next season. It'll be a good jumping off point for them, especially if they make a good run. You got to watch out for El Maragasta, though. I mean, it's a lot of D1 East experience there. Make a lot of playoff runs. You never know how this is going to shake out over the final 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, this group can go either way because, I mean, even from AFC Galaxy's point, they got 7. I mean, 2 wins can easily flip this table for them.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you got to watch out for 37th Chamber and Invictus, too. I mean, those are 2 D2 playoff teams. So, maybe they get a result here and maybe, one of them sneaks into a playoff spot or maybe one of them sneaks into that second seed, if Super Saiyans or Mariasa kind of fall off.
Absolutely. I think the last 4 games of the season, of this tournament is going to be very important for most of the teams fighting to get into the top 2 spot.
Yeah, I think right now this group I don't see a clear winner yet, but definitely Super Saiyans has been on a good run. We'll see how they end up at the end of Thursday's games. They
said that. Jair said that white guy's voice. So who is that? Thinks how about you, Chris?
Jair, I appreciate you tuning the stream, and I appreciate your hating even more. But just don't forget, you always play on a little TV screen and a little bit of a TV tray. So that's all right. I still love you, though.
Yeah, so Group 2, definitely going to be we'll see how they end of the week when we finish all 10 games. We could be seeing a different leader, or Super Saiyans could close it out. And let's move on to Group 3. Again, another team that is a surprise leader in some of our eyes because they're a little bit unknown. But Samba FC with 15 points. Tied with Olympus, who also have 15 points. Dallas Burn, another surprise team, 13.
Yeah.
World Class, 9. Gulazo 6, and Nemesis with 1 point at the bottom. It's a pretty tight race between 1 through 4. I mean,
Yeah, 1 through 4 looks like it's very, very tight. Those, like I said, like my last statement, the last 4 games really, really gonna define who stays up in the, you know, position 1 and position 2.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give Simba a lot of credit. I mean, they rebranded from Enchuf in Division Two last season, and they're on a 5 game win streak. I mean, how far can they how far can they carry the momentum? I mean, they've got I believe they still have Olympus and at least one game against World Class left. So I mean, those are two huge fixtures. How will they continue on? Will they keep their winning streak going, or will they kind of falter off? I'm hoping for the best for them though. That's a really great run so far through 6 games.
Say thoughts on World Class, huh?
I think that's a shock for them to be fourth. World Class typically has good players, so for them to be in fourth place, it's a bit of a shocker for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it's also unfortunate that stuff happened with Nemesis and they had to bow out of the tournament early. I really pegged them to go pretty far. The roster looked really good on paper, but, anything can kind of happen in these cups. I mean, just look at this group and, look at group 2 as well. I mean, you never know what's going to happen until it happens.
Yeah, because you have a couple of D1 teams and a D2 team, so it's two D2 teams and three D1 teams, and it's surprising that the D2 team is currently in first place, and then you got a D2 team in third place. So, those teams are getting a little bit of taste of what D1 is like, and it definitely is gonna help them improve for the coming season. And I mean, this is definitely something for them to be able to learn and maybe take for next season.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, kind of paramount in the first season, in a new game to come out to really just hit the ground running. You're learning all these new mechanics, a whole bunch of new things about the game. I mean, you talk about the difference from FIFA 22 to 23, it's night and day. You can only imagine how it's going to look from 23 to 24. And I think people are going to get more accustomed to playing on the 5. I mean, switching over this FIFA, they're now got a FIFA under the belts playing it. How will that look, come the next cycle?
Yeah, and then like I said, we might be introducing crossplay, so that's going to be also an interesting piece of the puzzle for these teams who might find it easier to find more players because the PS5 pool has been a bit short because of the lack of PS5s. But yeah, we got a whole new console of players coming over, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting time, though, for sure, for ACL going forward. It's going to be really nice. Looking forward to having a crossplay available.
All right, I'm going to move on to Group 4. We have I believe it's a mixture of a D1 team, but it's Mortales FC. Currently has 16 points. FC M&M with 12. Crack Nations currently with 10. United Kings 7. SWFC Esports USA with 3, and then Prime Legacy as well with 3. What are you guys' thoughts on this group so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Mortales is kind of the clear runaway favorite, scoring 26 and only allowing 3. They beat Prime Legacy on Thursday, 12-2. That's kind of, I think they're hitting their stride, and I think they're kind of firing on all cylinders. I will say, though, they had a surprise draw against SWFC. I don't think many people thought that. It was a 1-1, just kind of slugfest. So, can they be stopped? That's really the big question. So far, it generally doesn't look like it, but, again, anything can happen in this game. But so far, so good for Mortales.
Yeah, I believe that game was actually one of the games we streamed, and yeah, it was a close game. I mean, it was a like nail biter till the end, and then it was, yeah, like you said, 1-1 tie. So, I mean, Mortales, they might look unbeatable, but if you check out that game with SWFC, they might give you good pointers to see what might work against them. FC
Yeah.
and M&M and Cracks Nations both are D1 teams, I believe, and they are currently battling for that second place. I mean, 2 points apart and 4 games left. It's definitely one of theirs to win or maybe get a possible best of third place because we do get 4 teams from there. But again, two D1 teams going at it.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be really exciting. Eminem's got a lot of chemistry. I know they play a handful of leagues together, and cracks you can never count them out. They've been around for so long, and even though they have a lot of changing parts, 50 is usually the kind of the glue that holds a lot of that together. So I have a good feeling that he's going to guide them at least to a playoff spot. Whether that's a guarantee that it's a 2 seed or one of the top 3 seeds, we're going to find out. But I've got a lot of faith in him, getting them to a spot going forward.
Yeah, and then United Kings, there's still 4 games. It's possible for them to sneak into a third place. I mean, they're only 30 points
Yeah,
off. They're formerly a D1 team, I believe they're. And then SWFC and is a newer team. I believe their first time participating in any ACL leagues, or so it's. I mean, they get a little taste of what it's like. Potentially next season, see how it goes for them, and then the same for Prime Legacy.
yeah, absolutely, and definitely a big building block playing against these D1 level playoff teams. If you don't have this experience to this before, and you're playing these teams, it's a bit of a culture shock at first, but you kind of roll with the punches and you get better for next FIFA, and you just keep learning and get better from there. So it'll be good to see how this group shakes out in the next 4 games.
Yeah, and then also to look out, will Mortales end the tournament undefeated, or at least the group stage, because they are 5-1 with no losses. All right, and we'll go to Group 5. Currently, at least I think one of the most competitive groups so far. We have Showtime X currently sitting with 11 points. The Most Hated FC with 10. Punishers tied with them at 10. Footballers FC with 8. Vicious 8. And No Name 11 with 3 points. So you guys can see this team is. I mean, this game is. I mean, this. Sorry, this group is separated by 3 points, 1 through 5. I mean, 4 games left. It's basically anybody's game right now.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite group out of them all, given that there's 5 teams that'll be competitive up until the very last day. I mean, Showtime and Most Hated are full of D1 players. Same with Vicious. Footballers is a team that isn't super familiar in the ACL space, but I mean they're getting it done. They're getting results. And Punishers, they've been around in a different handful of names for a long time now. Really like what they're doing there. They did really well in D3 last season, and I think they're kind of carrying that momentum going forward into this cup. So I'm hoping that maybe they can sneak in and grab one of these playoff spots as well, because I think they've put themselves in a good position to kind of go for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting seeing these last 4 matches going on. Some of these teams facing off against each other, fighting for that last, trying to get into that top spot, get in there. We'll see. Be very interesting group. Just keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I think me and Don commentated 2 of Showtime's games on Thursday, and it was against Most Hated and against Vicious, and Vicious was able to claw out a draw at the end, but Most Hated was able to capitalize on 1 goal against Showtime and just neutralize them by not allowing them to go through the middle. So it's going to be a good, interesting 4 games to see how this team ends up. I mean, this group ends up shaping up, but I mean, it's anybody's group right now. Hopefully, it's a fun 4 games, and we see if they can who ends up with the top spot.
Yeah.
All right, and then the 6th and final group, we have La Critas, an ACL D1 East team with 13 points, MTX Toys with 11, Itole Sal with 10, Rumba Rune FC with 7, Chronic Crew with 6, and then Aztec Esports with 4. What do you guys think of this?
Yeah, I mean it's a good group. I think we kind of expected this to kind of look this way. I think Lacritas has been in D2 and D1 for a long time on and off. I mean they've got a good group. You can't really expect much less. MTX was top seed in ACL West D1 last season. Etoile Sahel, they had played on and off with a handful of different teams in D1 East. So I mean those are really the three big front runners. I think the last four games will tell a lot, but I can't imagine a world where these three teams wouldn't grab some sort of playoff spot. I imagine Lacritas to win the group, and I would go on a limb and say Toile Sahel would probably finish second in the group, and Toys would probably get the third playoff spot. I think their experience and their ability to get the job done, I think that'll push them at least into the second spot. But that's just my opinion. So I'm curious to see what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, when this group was drawn, I mean, you had three D1 teams, and then two D1 teams, and then Aztecs used to be a D1 West team. They took a break last season, but yeah, I think it's pretty much coming out like everybody thought. Lacritas, MTX, and Itole are basically the three best teams in the group, and it's shown. Rumba Rune is, I believe, a D2 team. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to chip away at this Itole or MTX toy lead. So, I mean, they might be a potential team to look into, that third place team. But it's going to be a good last four games. I believe Lacritas and MTX and Itole each play each other. So,
Yeah.
that's going to be a good games to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, agreed. We might even have to make that a featured game, especially if this comes down to the wire on Thursday. Could be really good.
Definitely. All right, that's it for the groups. We're gonna take a look at the leaderboards when it comes to goal scoring, assists for this statistics. There we go. So, any names that surprised you in the top 10 of the goal scorers so far? So we got Seba season 23 with 12 goals for Invictus Esport. We got Norbach for Mortales with 11. I O'Brien 10 with 9. Unstoppable from FGF Esports with 7. Jorge Mesa from Lethal with 7. HM Ronaldo 7 with 5. Andres Worley 5. Eurogamer Mandrito 222 and Alan Mexicano 05 finishing the list off, each with 5. Any names that you guys are seeing that are a surprise goal scorer leader?
Yeah, I mean, I think Norbeck is obviously the most surprising. I mean, with 11 goals, when he plays ACL for Fatal or for whatever team he's playing with, usually he's the middle center back. And I know he scores a lot of goals off of headers. Really good in the air, attacking wise. But he's been playing up front for Mortales for a handful of these games, and he's getting the job done. So I mean, you really got to give him a lot of props for being able to kind of venture out of position and kind of still get the job done. I know you're still playing with a lot of talent around him, but at the end of the day, you got to put the ball in the back of the net. So and props to the sub season as well for Invictus. They're not super high up the group, but I mean, clearly he's doing his part when it comes to goals. I mean, leading the entirety of the 36 team tournament with 12 goals. I mean, that's extremely impressive. Playing against a lot of good competition in that group.
Yeah, and when you mentioned Norbach, I mean, a lot of these teams may be trying players at new positions that they normally don't play just to see what they have. I mean, maybe he's a good CB, but then a better striker, and it's clearly showing up. I'm surprised with Seba season 23 again. Invictus Esports, like you said, 12 goals. That's impressive for the competition that they're in. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players tied with 5. I mean, there's not that much of a gap. There's usually somebody that's running away with it, but I mean, the top 3 are separated by 3 goals, and anybody can have a good game and might be putting themselves in a top 3 spot. The only name that's missing on this list is Texas legend.
He don't exist.
Yeah, best striker in ACL history. All right, we're gonna hop over to the assist, And we'll start off with Brian 10 for Mortales with 5. Looks like he's tied with Little VD from Samba FC. Then you got Norbach and Castruita with 4. And then we have 6 players tied with 3. What's your guys' thoughts on the assist leaders?
Yeah, again, I mean, it's surprising to see Norbach there. I mean, again, playing up front and playing out of position and still getting the job done and being able to create for his teammates as well. Obviously, he's scoring a lot, but I mean, he's creating just as much, it seems. So I thought that Castorita would have more assists, to be honest. I mean, I know he usually gets on the ball a lot for Lethal and usually likes to make a lot of plays. So, I'm surprised that he only has 4 assists. I honestly thought his assist number would be a little bit higher, but I guess that's just my opinion.
Yeah, when you look at the goal scorer leaders, there's like the high number of goals. I would have thought there would be more assists, but yeah, 5 is the highest, and Brian with Mortales is number 1.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give props to Lil VD as well from Samba. Again, that Samba FC team is super surprising, and with his assist numbers, it probably seems like he's kind of in the action of it all. So, again, props to him and props to Samba again for really making a good run this cup so far.
Yep. All right, and we're gonna move on to clean sheets by goalkeepers. Site is gonna take its time to load. Looks like we have 4 goalkeepers with 3 clean sheets. El Pabs for Crack Nations, Emmanuel MZT for Lacritas, Stabilian for No Subo Gordas, and Nino for Showtime. And then we have several goalkeepers tied with 2 clean sheets. What are you thinking with the clean sheets for goalkeepers? Any surprises for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I find it interesting that there's 6 games of this tournament so far, and even though you have a team like Mortales who's only drawn once and won 5, that no team has more than 3 clean sheets for a goalie. I find that surprising. Again, usually there's some team that's kind of out there and really just defensively dominant as well as on killing on the attacking end. So it's surprising to see the clean sheet number is so low. I kind of expected a little bit more, but Pavs, great goalie. Manuel, really good goalie. Nino, really good goalie. Won ACL with Fatal this year. Ospina, really good. Fear Kevin, came back really good as well. I mean, there's a lot of quality on this list. All just outstanding goalies. So
Yeah, I mean, Sabilian 664 is one of the goalkeepers that I don't recognize, but that doesn't mean they're bad. But I mean, surprise, 3 clean sheets with no Subo Gordas. So he's having a great season. I mean, tournament for his team. But yeah, the usual names up there. Nino, Ospina, like you said, Renzo, GK, Perut. I mean, he's a good goalkeeper, and Pabs. Someone asked if El Nino still plays, and yeah, he still plays.
yeah, he's still there and still doing the work, man.
Let's see if this takes as long as do clean sheets for defense, which again, you'll see that a lot of teams are going to be here. So you got Mortales has 4 defenders, Radford 90. They got Mahin, Ortiz, RX, Cross with 4 clean sheets, and then and Belgium for Samba with 4. Any CBs that you guys are looking at that surprises you on this list? CBs or CDMs, I guess, too.
Yeah, I think Lucretus having 3 clean sheets is impressive. I'm not super familiar with the ex Didu name or Angel Godoy or G Moronsky. All Venezuelans, or sorry, Didu's American, but the other 2 are Venezuelans, and I'm not super familiar with these names, but I mean, obviously they're doing a great job, in that really tight and competitive group. So props to them, and hopefully they keep shutting teams out and maybe they'll probably win the group if they keep doing it.
Yeah, this type of tournament though is the type of tournament that a player that, like you said, you don't recognize might be able to get his name out there, have a good tournament, be able to find himself in a good team.
It's true.
That's everybody for the leaderboards. I believe we've had a lot of questions regarding how the knockout stage is going to work. So for this ACL Cup, we're going to do the top 2 teams of each group and then 4 of the best third place teams. So even if you're not first or second, if you could, you know, be able to beat out all the other third place teams, you could potentially be seeing yourself into the knockout stage.
Yeah, I mean, kind of looking at the boards real quick, we can kind of run over, what teams are in the playoffs if it ended this very second, and if you don't hear your name on here, that's a warning call and a wake up call for you to, kind of push, and kind of go forward. So, looking at it now, right, you have Lethal, No Subagordas, Super Saiyans, El Mariasa, Samba, Olympus, Mortalis, FC M&M, Showtime, Most Hated, The Cretus, and MTX Toys. They round out your guaranteed 1 and 2 seeds. And then your 3 best 4 seeds, it looks like you have
A lot of
Dallas
teams.
Burn.
Dallas Burns is
Yeah,
one.
yeah, Dallas Burn with 13. I'm kind of looking at the goal
Yeah, there's a
difference.
lot of teams with 10.
Yeah, it looks like Exile would take the second slot. They'd actually be tied with Punishers. They're tied on
Yeah,
goal
so it looks like
differential.
it's
Yeah.
Exile, FC Dallas, Itole,
And Punishers.
and Punishers. Yeah, so those would be the 4 teams that would, 16 teams that would go through, right, as of right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean,
so
if you're 37th Chamber or Cracks Nation, you're off by either a point or just off on goal differential. So I mean, you guys are right at the door knocking. So hopefully you guys can kind of sneak in at the very last second. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of moving up and down the table with 4 games left. It should all be sorted out by the end of this week.
definitely. So, yeah, because a lot of these teams are like, well, the goal differential is like 2, 3 goals. So, as long as you're
Yeah,
able to not get blown out, or are you able to blow somebody out, you might be able to squeeze your way into a third place spot.
yeah, absolutely.
But I think that's. I don't know if you guys had anything else to talk about. Looking through my.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of small things, just to kind of keep you guys in the loop. Especially if you're managers or if you're a player. We're looking to do maybe like a top 5 goals of the group stage. So if you've got your stream and someone scored a last minute winner, right, or somebody scored a ridiculous bicycle kick, and you kind of want that featured on next week's recap. Send that in and we'll take care of it, and we'll look into seeing if it's top 5 goal worthy. Next week, I think also probably could be realistic to do like team of the groups and really kind of highlight the individual players that really, did the best and got their team, into the groups, or, really just did their absolute best to try, and maybe they just fell a little bit short. But, I'm excited to see how the last kind of 4 games play out. And, I wish the best to every team. If you're not in it, do your best and try to salvage what points you can and see if you can cause some ruckus. But if you're in it, then go for it and try to lock down the number 1 overall seed. Like if you're a Lethal or if you're a Mortalis, right? Who's going to be that number 1 overall spot? Who's going to have that easiest matchup that first round? That, and probably the easier matchups in the playoffs. You know, so lock in. You got 4 games left, and really just go for it.
Yeah, for sure. Also, if anybody's team is interested in being featured on Tuesday and Thursday for the games to be streamed, let us know. We'll definitely pick the best games just so they're interesting and entertaining for everybody. But if you are interested, just let us know. And The brackets are not set yet. We gotta wait for the teams to finish their games, but we'll either show the brackets to the managers in the chat, or we'll do it next weekend when we do our next episode for this show. We'll have those brackets up and talk about how it's all gonna work out. We are hoping to get more get some more news also on ACL, the league itself. We're working in the background right now, trying to possibly get some sponsors so we can start paying out top goal scorers, top assists, goalkeeper, and try to bring more things for the community. What'd you miss? Basically, you guys are in first, and if you win your games, you're gonna finish first. And you guys have a top defense, Lacritas. That's all that was said. Also, the free agent or transfer window will be closed after Thursday. So if you're a team or player looking to move before the knockout stage, it has to be before Thursday or after Thursday at midnight. And players or managers, if you are at the 20, if you already have 20 players rostered, only way to release somebody is to get premium. And players, same thing. If you want to release yourself, you also have to get premium through the Discord. But yeah, Thursday will be the last day to move. After that, it will be shut down for the rest of the tournament. Chris and Texas, you guys got anything else?
I got nothing.
No, I thought he said it was the last two games before the last two games, wasn't it?
Is it before last 2 years?
Yeah, it'll be before the last
Yeah,
two
the-
games. So
Okay, never mind.
after Tuesday's
We got to
games.
Tuesdays. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
never mind. Tuesday.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right. We'll try to do this more often, usually on a Sunday, just to keep you guys up to date on anything that changes or any news we have. But yeah, next weekend we'll have our bracket ready, and we'll try to get a quick team of the tournament to set up for people to see. We might get everybody involved and just have you guys vote on players, but we'll see how we do that. But again, I appreciate you guys' time. Chris in Texas, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right. I'll see y'all next time.